Well, good evening, everybody. It is Monday, May the 3rd, and it's 6 minutes after 9 Eastern Daylight Time. I hope everybody had a good weekend and that their Monday was fine. I did. I just relaxed most of the day. But anyway, just wanted to share some things with you, and uh, it's going to be an interesting future. That's all I got to say. That's the title of my rant tonight. Is what is the future? Specifically, what's the future of our country? And with the current president that we have, it looks like a good future. The real question is going to be is what opposition is President Biden going to have with the Republican Party? If you can call it the Republican Party, I call it the Trumplican Party, because that's who's really has a lot of influence. Well, anyway, I hope a lot of people got to see President Biden's address to the joint session of Congress. I believe that was on Wednesday, April 28th. See me looking over, I have my calendar over there, so that's why. But I think he gave a hell of an address. He has a vision for our country. And I just wanted to share a few things from his message. What I like what he said, he goes, America is on the move again, but more work has to be done. And it's true. The United States is finally on the move, but it's not in the move in the wrong direction. When we had the previous character, the previous dick, I call him, supposedly a president, we were going in a direction, but it was straight down. It wasn't, we weren't progressing at all. But President Biden outlined what he wants to do in his message to Congress, joint session of Congress. He did mention, he touched briefly on the attack that was on the Capitol. And the president said that the attack on January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Think about that. That was something. I mean, you know, we had a division in our country, and eventually we had the split, and it lasted for 4 years. But fortunately, the Union prevailed, and we had Reconstruction and everything else, but it finally came together. But this what we had on January 6th was something else. And I like what he said. President Biden said, he says, though we were knocked down, America never stays down. And we don't. We don't. Although the previous administration did want to knock it down. Thank God that he's not in anymore. But his plan and is going to cost a few dollars, but the result, I think, is worth it. Now, Biden's he's implementing $1.9 trillion in COVID-19 relief. And thank God he's doing something about it, because we're already seeing results today. I don't have the figures, I have to look them up. But we're definitely going down now in the trend, but we still need to go lower. So what he's doing is working far better than the previous idiot we had in office. He's also asking Congress to build on it, the COVID-19 relief law, with a $2.25 trillion, I don't know, I guess that's a $2.25 trillion infrastructure with jobs plan. And $1.8 trillion expansion of the family safety net. Again, it's helping the average person, especially the blue-collar workers. And for too long, the middle class and the poor have been paying taxes, too much taxes, and while the very rich got their tax breaks. Hey, what the hell, they don't have to worry, they're getting their breaks. They could care less about the average worker, which I found ironic because Trump gave the richest, the top 1% or so, a big tax break. Did he give the average worker a tax break? I don't think so. Might have been a little bit, but it's going back up in a few years. But what Joe Biden's doing is he's proposed a series of tax increases on households making more than $400,000 to help finance the proposal. In other words, all of the things that he's suggested here. Now, $400,000, that's a hell of a lot of money. I don't know, unless you're a doctor, lawyer, or whatever. That's a hell of a lot of money for 1 year's salary. So they can well afford to pay their fair share of taxes. Why dump it on all the middle class? Why dump it on the average worker? I mean, right now we're coming out of the COVID. We still have a way to go, but we're coming out of it. A lot of people weren't working. A lot of people were hurting. I mean, you know, not enough food. Oh, pardon me. I knew it was coming. Anyway, they had to worry about, you know, when they lost their jobs, are they going to have a place to stay? Are they going to have enough to eat? How are they going to pay their bills? It was tough. It's still tough for them. That's why I'm glad we have a president that has a definite concrete plans for our country. And the very fact that he gave us those stimulus payments, that played a part. That played a lot in helping us crawl out of the hole. And we're seeing already the economy starting to pick back up. So that's great. No thanks to the previous administration. No way. One thing that I like now, he talked about the jobs, the president did, and he said 90% of the new jobs wouldn't require college degrees, and 75% of them would not require associate degrees. See, that's one of the things, you know, there's this big push, oh, go to college, man, you go to college, you'll have a better chance at a better paying job. That's not true. That is not necessarily true. I mean, unless you're going in for something specialized like a doctor or a lawyer, or, you know, some specialists maybe in a hospital, they make the money. But the average person like me, you know, my brother used to say, he'd say to me, I wish you would have went to college, you're intelligent. I said to my brother Jim, I said, I really didn't want to go to college. I figure it's a lot of money, it's expensive, and you're in debt for how many years? I said, if I can find a better paying job, might have to work a little harder, but, you know, you should be able to make a decent salary whether you went to college or not. And it depends on your training and stuff, but years ago, manufacturing was a deal. Now a lot of manufacturing left our country. We 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 have to rely on the new jobs of the 21st century. I mean, I hated to admit it, man. I was in textiles for how many years? But that eventually faded out, and I went over to China and Mexico and Honduras and wherever, Vietnam. So we had to come up with new jobs to take the place of the ones we lost. And it might have required getting an education, but like in tech school, I went to Berks Technical Institute down the road here. But the jobs that I got there was the bottom of the ladder, and eventually I got out of it. It wasn't paying me enough. Help desk support, you know. But this way, the president said that 90% of the new jobs won't require college degrees, and 75% wouldn't require associate degrees. It's obvious that, the president is trying to appeal to the Republican voters, even though the Republican representatives are hard to win over. You have to give the president credit. He's trying to work with both parties. I don't know how much he's going to get accomplished. I mean, I wish him the best. And then we have people like Joe Manchin, and as a Democrat, he should be a Republican, as far as I'm concerned. He's too conservative as far as I'm concerned. And just when we need him at a critical time, oh, I'm not passing this, it's too expensive, and this and that. I don't think people realize you have to look down the road. Yes, we look at the current situations, but you got to also remember there's long term. And they're saying, oh, you're going to stick this big debt to our children. Well, you know something? We invest in our country now, and we get the country working, and keep the country working. That's going to help that long-term debt in the long term when you think about it. As long as people are working and they're making a good salary, and they're able to pay their taxes, you know? Especially the big corporations, they're making good money, pay your fair share. That will finance what Joe Biden's planning on doing for our country. But a lot of times people, they don't think, especially the Republicans, oh, you're taxing us to death, you're doing this, you're doing that. It's going to ruin our country. My God, our grandchildren are going to have to pay for it. And if we follow the plans, I'm truly convinced that when people are working, the revenue's going to come in. And if the people that are making over $400,000 or more, and the corporations, top 1% to 3%, they pay their fair share, the cash flow will come in. We'll get the deficit down. But you can't sit here trying to cut back on things. Oh, I'm saving money. When you think about it in the long term, when people, if they're hurting, and you have to invest in our country anyway to get people working. Well, you're going to be spending money anyway. So you think ahead. You know what I'm saying? Is you think ahead. Invest for the future. It's a two-pronged thing. Yes, you're dealing with the situations now, but you have to also think a long term. And if you have a plan where people are working, and also you're going to encourage, businesses to open up or come over to our country, and things work out, it will work out. What can I say? It will work out. But you got to give it time too, I'm just excited about the president's plan. I think, it's going to take work. No question about it. It's going to take work. But if people band together, like he said, we need to sit down and get the job done. Plan ahead, get the job done. You budget it out. The people over 400, from 400,000 up, they pay their fair share of taxes. Then that revenue can be divvied out to what's needed at the time. And I like his education plan too. That's, hey, invest in the education of our youngsters, because it's going to pay off in the long term. Another thing that he mentioned was that the jobs that he's planning will be union jobs. That's a good idea, because the unions, if it's a proper union, it's going to fight for its workers, and it's going to make sure that the workers are getting paid a decent wage an hour. $15 an hour would be perfect. Also, they get their benefits, your health benefits and things of that sort. Health, vacation time, family leave. You want to thank your employees. If you have a business, you want to thank your employees and show them your appreciation. And it's as an incentive. Years ago, that's how it used to be. The companies used to compete to get good workers. And they'd offer you a good vacation plan, health care plan. Those were the days, and it was worth going into work. Now it seems like, oh, well, the attitude, you ought to be thankful you have a job. And the Republicans like to do this a lot. Oh, get off your ass and get a job. Well, it would be nice if you had jobs out there to get. Now, with Biden and what he's doing, the economy's picking up, we're getting our jobs. But we can't just drop the ball now. They want to cut. Now, I don't think the president's going to get everything he wants. It would be nice if he could, but Republicans are fighting him hook, line, and sinker. They just think it's too expensive. Even though it doesn't matter that they gave the top 1% a tax cut, that's all right, But when it comes to the average worker, we get screwed. Well, times have changed, and I'll tell you one thing. On the things that the president can get done, if the Republicans don't want to work with us, then we go over their heads and do what we have to do to get the country running. Hopefully we can get a bipartisan action in the Congress. But Biden's going to have his hands full, I'll tell you that much. I liked what he said. He said it was the middle class is what made this country great. Not Wall Street, but good union jobs they did, Makes a big difference. The unions are there. Like I said, not all unions are decent. I know I worked in some areas and the unions, you had to pull teeth to get them to do something. That shouldn't be. But for the ones that the majority of them that do a good job and work for their employees, it's worth it. It's worth it. They make sure you have your good hourly wage and good benefits. You have to be careful there too, because you don't want to push too much. I know years ago it was like when the unions went on strike and the company would offer them benefits. Now I know a good example was Parish Steel and Bedding. My dad used to work for them. They used to make frames for trucks and automobiles. And there was a situation, the Parish Steel gave them a final offer. And it was a good offer. And what did they do? The guys, no, let's hold out. We could get more. Well, in that condition, in that situation, it didn't work out, and the company just said, okay, we gave you our best offer. You didn't want to take it. Now you're losing your jobs. And they closed up And if I have my facts right, I think they went over to Michigan. I think they're still in business. I'm not sure though, but that's where they went, over to Michigan. So I like what the president said. You know, since Reagan, the Republicans wanted to push trickle down economics. It seemed to make sense at first thought. Hey, these big companies and stuff, corporations, they do good, then they pass it down to their employees. They make a good profit, they pass it on to their employees. Well, I got news for you, that's not what they did, trust me. When I worked in knitting, I worked for the knitting mills. Oh yes, we're going to share our profits with you, right. I know the one year they made $20 million. Do you think we got a big raise? No. It took me, I was there almost 12 years. And it took me almost 10 to get up to $10 an hour. That's pretty sad. For all the running around I had to do, running 5, 6 knitting machines. And they don't know, depending on the yarn that's on the machines, you have shitty yarn that it's not going to run right. Well, you have to sit back if the machine presses off. And on a double knit machine that makes the stretchy collars and the sleeves, well, if it comes off the needles, it's not like, you have to watch what you're doing. You have to physically pick the fabric and put it back up on the needles again. Jersey machines, you don't have to do that, but, for the most part, you make sure the latches are open. They look like little crochet hooks with a little latch on them. And that's how the clothes that you buy today, now most of the jobs are overseas. They have knitters overseas that get paid cheap dirt wages compared to what it was when we had knitting in this country. But anyway, I was getting $10 an hour, but running around like a nut, racking the machines with new yarn and all that stuff. It kept you running, and I think I should have got a lot more than $10 an hour. But that's how long it took for me. I bugged my boss once in a while. Hey, I say, Charlie, when am I getting a raise? Oh, he said, when you deserve a raise, you'll get one. I was like, excuse me? I bust my ass. I rarely miss time at work. It took me over 10 years to get to $10 an hour. So, unbelievable. Well, anyway, that's about it. I've been watching what's been going on today. How many saw that little, what would you want to say, with Mitt Romney, that little boo job? I guess that's what I call it. He got booed, unbelievable. The Republican Party has really turned into something, it's gross. I can't come up with the words that could express just how bad the Republican Party has gotten. I remember years ago, especially under Reagan, it was a party of integrity, family values, do things right. And that's a laudable thing to do, be decent to your fellow man, don't screw them over, treat them with respect. Today, not so. Not with the Republican Party has turned evil, as far as I'm concerned. Dark. Racism. Oh my God, talk about racism. Well, they've had it in their ranks for a long time. But to sit there and take, let's see, you have Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney. I don't agree with all their policies. They're too conservative as far as I'm concerned, but think about it. They're still people of integrity. And they had the courage to stand up against the orange-haired dingbat Donald Trump. And Miss Cheney came right out and said it, that You know, it's about time we stop espousing this lie that Donald Trump's put out. He's lying out his ass. Now they have a thing in Arizona that's doing recounts. For what? How many more times do they have to count the votes? They just can't accept the fact that Trump lost. And I'm going to tell you something, people. If we're smart, we're going to get off our asses and we're going to keep voting Democrat. 2022 will be here before you know it. So we've got to get off our asses and vote. Vote blue in 2022. I have a shirt that has it on. I have to wear it one of these times. But we got to do something, people. I heard somebody say tonight on CNN, they said, until the Republican Party gets their act together and turns into the party that they should be, and that we get rid of these dingbat extremists in the party, they cannot be elected into power because it would be disaster for our country. They want to turn us into a fascist state, pure and simple. We can't let that happen, people. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Remember to like my videos and subscribe. And remember, too, that we're still in the pandemic. It's getting better, but don't forget, wash your hands. And as my one friend says, stay away from nasty-ass people. It's the truth. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Now, if you're vaccinated, they have new rules. If you're outside, you don't need to wear it. I put my mask and I put it below my mouth. If I know I'm going to be going into a building or a store or with a crowd of people, then I put my mask up over my nose. And make sure you have it over your nose and mouth. I see so many people out there not wearing a mask right. But anyway, thanks for taking the time. Make sure you share it. Share this video. Subscribe and like. Let's get more people on, and we got to get ready for 2022, people. It's going to be a pivotal year. And let's keep the Democrats in. Let's put more Democrats in. Okay? All right, well, have a good night, everybody, and I will be in touch soon, maybe toward the end of the week. I can do another one. All right, have a good night.